Valve just launched a secret Steam Deck update. How's it going, guys, and welcome to Deck Ready. You probably noticed I'm on a different set, and that's because I'm in Chicago at my fiance's house because we're looking at wedding venues. But Valve just launched a huge update for the Steam Deck. I downloaded it right away, and there are just so many big features to talk about that I had to jump on camera and make a video. So the first big feature that I think you're going to want to see is that there is now a lock screen, and it's actually pretty intuitive. You can set a 6-character passcode, and then you use the different buttons to memorize it, which is way faster than using your fingers to type it in or using the D-pad and the A button. And I also like that it uses your little avatar picture there. It's a nice little elegant looking lock screen that feels very SteamOS. I like it a lot. But the big features don't stop there, because the next one is one that I'm really excited about because it's a change I directly asked for in my video where I talked about big changes I want for the Steam Deck. And that change is an updated achievement screen. So if you go into your library and find pretty much any game that's installed on your Steam Deck, go over to My Stuff, you can see the achievements. Now it pulls up a nice little background, it shows you all the achievements you've earned, and most importantly, it moves a lot faster. I think Sony should really take a look at this achievements page because it's so much better than what we have, even with that new revamped version of the trophy page on the PS5. I like this so much, and that's what I want because it makes the achievements feel a lot more personal on the Steam Deck. The community features at launch, I don't feel like we're quite there yet. They felt like you had to go into a pseudo web browser to find them. It just didn't really feel like a front and center feature of the Steam Deck, but this is becoming my main gaming machine. I'm using this and an at-home gaming PC. I suddenly care a lot more about achievements, and now I'm glad that Valve is taking them seriously and not only making them easier to get to, but making them look better while they're at it. I know you could get to it kind of the same way before, but it's just quicker now and they feel and look a lot better. Also, I like these Valve small touches we get on the blog posts where they talk about new features. They're highlighting one of the biggest and best games on Steam right now, which you wouldn't expect. It's called Vampire Survivors. It only cost a couple bucks and it works really well on the Steam Deck. They're putting it here on this blog post because it's awesome. So if you haven't played that game, which you probably have because so many people have bought it, you should check it out. I think it's really cool. This next one's for users in other countries. You're getting localized keyboards now, which is great. So even in countries where the Steam Deck isn't fully available to be shipped there, people are getting them from eBay and a bunch of different third-party sellers, which sucks that they have to pay so much extra to get their Steam Decks, but now they're going to have localized keyboards for a lot of those users, which is awesome. Valve says they have 21 ready to go now, and they'll have Japanese, Chinese, and Korean ready to go in the future, and that's awesome too. And the next big feature that's coming along with this update is multiple window switching. So the way Valve says it, the Steam Deck now supports games and applications that have multiple windows. If you push the Steam button while in game, the overlay has new options to switch between active windows. Now, the reason this is important is because of launchers. So the way it worked before is that when games had launchers or install scripts that needed to run before they opened, like Jedi Fallen Order, for example, sometimes the Steam Deck would totally glitch out and switch between that launcher window or that update window and the actual game. And it was really hard to get out of that, and you just kind of had to go back and forth launching the game over and over again until it just decided to work and you didn't get that flashing back and forth. I encountered this error with No Man's Sky. It doesn't have a launcher, but there's a license agreement you have to agree to before you start the game, and it was just flashing back and forth between the game and the license agreement. Now, because games have multiple window switching, when you open a game up that has a third-party launcher or an install script that needs to run before you play it, now you'll have, just by pressing the Steam button, both windows right there, and you can pick between the two, and it should switch between them pretty easily. Now, I don't actually have any games on my Steam Deck just yet that require this feature, so if you try this out and get it working or it has any issues, please let me know down in the comments below. But it should work pretty well because when Valve actually ships features, so far with the Steam Deck, they've all been largely working really well. And on top of that, I like that all of these big features were just surprise dropped. I'm on the beta channel for all of the updates, and these were nowhere to be found. As far as I know, they haven't leaked on some of the better, bigger websites out there like Gaming on Linux or some of the other YouTube channels that cover Steam Deck news. It's really cool to get these big features as surprise drops. It brings me back to when the PS Vita came out. That first year where Sony actually supported it and it got big updates. I remember distinctly my sophomore year of college. I ran home from class. I saw on Twitter, because I had PlayStation notifications on at the time, that they had just launched PS1 Classics. I ran to the store. I downloaded Resident Evil, Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and I had so much fun playing PS1 Classics all night until I realized that the two biggest ones I wanted, Crash Bandicoot 3 Warped and Metal Gear Solid, were not available. And you know what? I don't think they ever were officially. You kind of always had to transfer them from your PS3, which is weird. Moving off of that tangent though, there's a few new updates that came along with this. There's smaller patch notes, so I'm just gonna read down the list. The Steam Deck will now warn you if a charger is plugged in that charges slower than the minimum bar, which I have seen before with some of my older battery banks. The LED now dims a few seconds after plugging in and unplugging the Steam Deck, so it's less annoying at nighttime. That is a good update because this thing gets really bright in bed, that little LED on top, and that's usually when I'm playing it and charging it at the same time. Compatibility has been improved for Type-C docks, chargers, and SD cards, so as far as Type-C docks go, this should fix that black screen issue that people had where they thought their Steam Deck was being bricked, so that's good. I don't want to say it's going to fix them for all of the USB-C docks, but it should improve it for a lot of the more popular ones out there. And as far as the micro SD cards go, I'll have to test this on the other Steam Deck that my editor Royce has, because that one was having the issue where if I installed Windows to a micro SD card, I couldn't actually get that SD card to show up in the boot menu. But my new Steam Deck, the one that I ordered from my Steam account, that one totally allows it with the exact same micro SD card, so I'll have to investigate this one, but if you get to it before me, let me know how it works down in the comments. SD card formatting now tests to see if a card has less storage than advertised. That's a nice little feature. An uncapped frame rate option is now available in the performance tab of the quick access menu. That was actually included in the beta updates. It worked totally fine, so I'm glad that's included in the stable channel now. TPM support has been added for Windows 11. That also has been there in the beta channel. It works great. Added half rate shading experimental option, forcing 2x2 variable rate shading into existing games for power savings. I think I know what this one does, but before I say anything, I'm gonna investigate this one deeper and talk about it in a future video. And of course, the final note is that overall stability has improved. I downloaded it and installed it in about 5 minutes maximum, and it works great so far. I like this feature about multiple window switching because that was a little annoying with No Man's Sky. The one I'm most excited for, obviously, is the achievements one, because even if it wasn't inspired by me, I can pretend it was because Valve has been doing such a good job taking features that people request in these YouTube videos, like 40 Hz screen switching, for example, and directly implementing them into future upgrades. And then of course the lock screen, so many people from the very beginning, like the very launch, have been asking for a lock screen just to add some security. There are 3 separate options on that lock screen page, so you can set it so when you like wake up the device, you'll see the lock screen, or when you switch to desktop mode, you'll see the lock screen, or there's a third option that I'm forgetting right now. But the point is they get a little more granular with it than just including a lock screen that shows up when you wake the device or put it to sleep. I'm glad that you can set it to show up before you go into desktop mode, because I feel like the console's a little bit more open when you're in desktop mode, so knowing you have that little extra layer of security before switching into it is great. And the fact that it makes you do a 6-character one, that feels a little bit more secure than like having a 4-character one on my phone. Anyway, this is a great update, and I was actually just working on my traveling with the Steam Deck video. I was using my Windows 11 micro SD card to play Destiny, and I actually was having a great time with it. It was locked at medium settings, 30 frames per second, running really well, and not draining my battery super fast, running Windows 11 off of a micro SD. So if you want to see that video as soon as it goes live, probably this weekend, but maybe early next week, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and maybe set your notifications to all. It would really help me out.